Welcome, folks. I am Jaby Koay. I'm in my hotel room in New Jersey. I'm here visiting family for Christmas in Jersey, New Jersey. And I was in the shower getting ready to go see my family again, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about Mandalorian and Rise of Skywalker real quick because I just can't stop thinking about this show. Now, as of recording this, episode 8 isn't out yet, so this isn't super fair to do. You'll get what I'm saying in a moment, because I should really do this after episode 8 comes out, but I can't wait. And so, here's what it is. From the title of this video, you may already guess my feelings, but I love Mandalorian, and watching that show makes me hate Rise of Skywalker. That's my thesis for this video. And honestly, watching Mandalorian makes me really dislike the trilogy, the new trilogy. Now, here's why. I get to about episode 3 or 4, and I realize, wow, like, what I'm feeling in this show completely trumps the feeling I had in Rise of Skywalker, and truth be told, the feelings I had over the entire new trilogy. Like, the emotions I'm reaching, the excitement I'm reaching in Mandalorian is so much stronger than any of the new movies. And it's just, it wouldn't be so bad if not for the fact that these are in such close proximity to each other, specifically Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian. And it makes me angry at the same time, because I'm like, here you've got this show with a fraction of the budget of the movies, and yet it's able to elicit so much more in the feels, man. Like, it's crazy. I think it was 10 minutes into episode 1 of Mandalorian where I was like, I love this. I don't know why, I just love this. I love what they're doing here. And the only area in which the movies trump this show is the visual effects. That's it. That's it. I was going to say the music as well, but the music in Mandalorian is amazing. It doesn't follow the classical score that the movies do, but I love the music. It's definitely its own thing. It's got its own feeling to it that's nothing like John Williams, and I think it works great for the show. And I think you can get away with it because it's a TV show, so you can change it up. I mean, they're taking chances. The biggest chance they took with this show is the fact that your main character's in a mask the entire time. And to me, that's a huge risk, because we depend on seeing faces to figure out how we should feel about what's going on, because we know what the character's feeling. But it sort of has this pseudo Ryan Gosling effect. Now, for those of you that don't know what that is, I mean, I'm sure most people who are watching this know what that is, but the idea is that Ryan Gosling oftentimes will be sort of expressionless on purpose. And what that allows you to do as the audience is kind of project your own feelings onto him. And so you sort of imagine what he's feeling. And so Mandalorian has the same effect. So even though you can't see his face, you know exactly what's going on in his head, and it's kind of a neat thing. I've never seen another show or movie where the character's masked and I still feel everything this person's feeling. Right from episode 1, the end of that pilot episode was so strong. I immediately was on board because I cared about his plight. He's sort of the underdog in his world, and I cared about everything that he was going through. The only complaint I suppose I might have is that he takes a lot of L's. I mean, it's good, but it's also like, he's supposed to be badass, and he's on the ground a lot. He's getting his ass handed to him a lot. And so I like it and I don't at the same time. I think in the end, after letting it sit for a lot longer, I think that I will appreciate it more with time. It was just initially, because out the gate, he's kicking ass and taking names. And then as the show went on, he's like, he's getting tossed around, tussled left and right. And so I'm pretty sure at the end of it, you know, after a few weeks or a few months, I'm going to appreciate that more, because it's got that John McClane effect. And I'm sure all of you know who John McClane is. But for those few of you that don't, Die Hard, during the course of that film, you see he takes a lot of L's in that movie, and that's what makes you root for him more. You know, you're championing his victory. You're rooting for him because he seems so vulnerable. And I think that's what the show is achieving by having him get tossed around the way he does. And so at the end of Rise of Skywalker, for those of you that didn't see my review, and I'll keep this part short, the film was serviceable. It was like, this is fine. I don't feel compelled to watch it again, which is the opposite of how I felt with every other Star Wars film I've seen in theaters. That's part of the saga. And so I had 3 other shows lined up, because I saw it on a Tuesday, and I had a Thursday, Friday, Monday show lined up, and I canceled those tickets. Partly due to the fact that I just didn't have time because of the trip. I mean, I could have made the time. I made the time for Mandalorian, obviously. But I just didn't have that same desire, that same burning passion that I did with the other films. And that, to me, was already a bad sign. And so when the movie was done, I was like, that's fine. There are things that bother me, but the movie's fine. It was fun. As the days went on, I realized the things I didn't like were really, really bothering me. Almost like a cracked glass, and it just kind of got worse, like that scene in The Lost World when I forgot what's her name falls in the glass, and it starts spider cracking further and further. That's how my feelings were with Rise of Skywalker. And then the more I thought about it, other things started to bug me. But watching Mandalorian episode 4, I was like, wow, I hate Rise of Skywalker. I hate it now because I should feel the way I feel about Mandalorian is exactly what I should be feeling watching those movies with the budget they have and everything. Like, it shouldn't just be selling toys. It shouldn't just be selling theme park rides. You know, it should be selling a feeling, because that's what the original trilogy gave you. It was a feeling. That's more, you know, you had these memorable characters, memorable lines. There's nothing memorable in the new trilogy for me. Like, there's nothing there's no characters that I look back on, like with Rey, with Finn, maybe Poe. Like, Poe is a sort of memorable character, but to me, Mandalorian has so many more memorable moments and characters than the movies do. And I was warned about Mandalorian going into it that it was going to be super slow paced, like a Western. But to me, the pacing is perfect, especially when you compare it against Rise of Skywalker. The pacing is absolutely perfect. I wouldn't want it any faster or slower. I think that it's just fine. And how each episode explores new people, new characters, and immediately they feel three-dimensional. Even the robots feel three-dimensional. The droids in Mandalorian feel more three-dimensional than the human characters in the Star Wars trilogy. Now, I know that's gonna get me some downvotes, but like, that's honestly how I feel. Like, I don't know. The film does, rather the Mandalorian show does a good job of immediately humanizing everybody in that show, and I think it's because of the pacing, the way it's shot, and everything. Like, you feel like you're part of that world, and the humor. That's a big thing, because the new Star Wars trilogy has this weird habit of, like, kind of poking you in the face with its humor, kind of ribbing, and I hate that. It started out with Disney with Guardians of the Galaxy, and then every Marvel film after that started pushing these jokes and undercutting the drama. Whereas in Mandalorian, they maintain that edge. They maintain that dramatic edge so well, and it's underscored with some good comedic moments that are all situational based, not poking you in the face. Like, right from the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, Rey's meditating and she's like, they're with me, they're with me, they're with me, they're not with me. And it was such an obvious follow-up line, and then the rocks fall. I just, it really frustrated me. I found that very cringeworthy. Whereas the stuff in Mandalorian that makes me laugh, it's supposed to make me laugh, and it's all situational based, and that's how comedy should be. And then there's also the cuteness factor. I think, I'm talking about Baby Yoda, obviously, but my only technical complaint against Mandalorian would be, I wish it was shot on film. That's it. And most people won't care about that, but to me, it should have gone for that old school look, just like Super 8 did. There's ways to, I don't know how J.J. Abrams did it with Super 8. I don't know if it was a film stock that he used or what, but it had that old school Spielberg vibe. And I wish that Mandalorian did the same thing with just the look of it, because you have all this retro stuff in the show with the tech and whatnot. Everything's sort of broken. It feels kind of broken, just like how Star Wars felt for audiences back then. People were sort of surprised at how everything feels used and old in this futuristic universe, and that's what Mandalorian provides. Is things kind of feel like they're just holding together with tape, and so with all that, I wish it had that old vibe to it, because it feels so clean, and that's the only thing I hold against the show. I mean, and that's a small thing, honestly, but outside of that, to me, it's superior to all the new Star Wars films, and it's superior to most other television shows out there. It's really cool because, the show, each episode, while it's not furthering the plot with every single episode, some episodes just feel like a day in the life of Mandalorian. It still builds in a very, very nice way, in a very consistent way, up to the end of episode 7. Now that's what really made me want to do this video, is that ending to episode 7. Now I'm going to talk about that just for a brief moment right now. So if you haven't seen episode 7, you shouldn't continue. All right, for those of you who haven't seen it, I'm sure you've left by now. I don't remember the character's name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. You know, I have spoken. That guy, when he went down, because he's going after the Mandalorian ship to get away from the stormtroopers, and you're like, come on, dude, and then it cuts to, this is just fantastic editing. It cuts to Baby Yoda on the ground. You're like, wait, questions are in your mind. Like, did he leave him behind? Did he save his own ass and leave Baby Yoda behind? What the hell happened? And then the stormtrooper scoops up Baby Yoda and goes the other way. Just talking about this is getting me a little bit emotional. He scoops up Baby Yoda and flies off. And then you see, dude, on the ground, the smoke coming out of his back because he was shot down. It's like, oh, man. Oh, it messed me up. And that was the moment that solidified for me, this show is so much better than the Star Wars trilogy, the new Star Wars trilogy. Because the way that hit me was so much stronger than anything in the new movies. And I was pissed. I was happy, I was sad, and I was pissed all at once. Too many different feelings all at the same time. Because the movies should be that good. The movies should have elicited that feeling in me. This show, with a fraction of the budget of the movies. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's one of the most expensive shows of all time. Probably the most expensive show of all time. But the shows have a fraction of the budget. And probably a fraction of the time to work with. And yet, it's so much cooler than the movies. So much cooler. This is what I wanted out of the movies. This feeling that it's giving me right now. The compulsion to tell you guys. So much better. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little rant that I made. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon. And thanks for hanging out. Stick around. I'm Jaby Koay. Peace out.